Good, happy Monday evening, everyone. April 1st, 2019, and happy April Fools, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this edition of Good Evening, New Hampshire. Let's begin with your local news. First up, mass health officials warn of potential measles exposure at multiple locations. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health has confirmed a person was diagnosed with measles in the greater Boston area Sunday. Officials said this is the first measles case in Massachusetts this year. During the intervention period last week, the person went to the following locations where other people may have been exposed. Let's take a look at those locations. On Tuesday, March 26th, on Wednesday, March 27th, on Thursday, March 28th, officials said people who visited any of the above locations and who are not immune may be at risk of developing measles and are advised to contact their healthcare provider to confirm their immunization status. The DPH said those who have not been immunized or do not know their measles immunization status should get vaccinated with at least one dose of measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines. Measles vaccines given within 72 hours of exposure may prevent measles disease, and vaccination beyond this window will provide protection from subsequent exposures. DPH local health departments and healthcare providers are working to contact individuals at high risk for exposure. Those who were exposed and being to develop symptoms of measles should call their healthcare provider before visiting an office, clinic, or emergency department, the DPH said. Early symptoms of measles occur 10 days to 2 weeks after exposure and may resemble a cold with fever, cough, runny nose, and red eyes. A rash occurs on the skin 2 to 4 days after the initial symptoms develop. The rash usually appears first on the head and then moves downward. The rash typically lasts a few days and then disappears in the same order. People with measles may be contagious up to 4 days before the rash appears and 4 days after the day of the rash appears. The Center for Disease and Prevention recommends children should receive their first dose of MMR vaccine at 12 to 15 months of age. School-age children need 2 doses of vaccines. According to the CDC, adults should have at least 1 dose of vaccine, and certain groups need 2 doses. Those at higher risk of developing measles include international travelers, healthcare workers, and college students. Adults born in the United States before 1957 are considered immune to measles due to previous exposures. For additional information, contact your local health department or DPH at 617 983 6899. You can find more information about measles by visiting the DPH website. And we'll share this article with you so you can access that website. Changes made after Claremont Schools miss out on federal lunch dollars, officials say. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
Pushed out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
The school district that serves Claremont and Unity, they missed out on over $460,000 from the federal government because someone did not fill out a student lunch application in time. Now, they cannot get that money back, but district officials are confident it won't happen again because of changes they've made. The district says there are multiple people working to prevent this from happening again, and a newly hired part-time employee will make sure all applications are submitted in the future. The interim superintendent says the district can cover those costs from money in the general fund that was not spent this year.
In terms of the impact on students and families, there's not a direct impact to them. The only peripheral impact would be on the total general fund budget in both communities, and not having the revenue we should have had.
School lunch money has been an ongoing issue for Claremont. It started the year with over $32,000 owed by families. In the newsroom, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Hearing limits could put pressure on lobster industry. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Fishermen at the commercial pier in Portsmouth are getting boats and gear primed for the busy season. But there's a hook. One of the most popular bait fish, herring, already doubling in price over the last few years, at some point may not even be available.
It's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. The cost, I mean, we're all small. Each boat is its own business, and it's an overhead that we can't leave bait without, we can't leave the dock without bait.
Regulators have cut the amount of herring that can be caught to about a third of what was hauled in last year, a move to help its population rebuild.
Everybody's trying to make a living, and it's kind of hard when the quota's already, I think it's already half used up for the whole year, and we're, into April now, so.
Jake Eaton is heading out tomorrow with a friend. They're trying other bait, like redfish, more affordable for now.
Definitely, it's going to impact the price of bait, and I think all bait, all across the board, not just herring.
It's way too early to know if or how it might impact the retail price of lobster, but even with steepening regulations driving up the cost of doing business, most of these guys are in it for the long haul.
It's a hard way of life, but it pays the bills, and it's a nice sense of freedom.
Well, the lobster wholesaler I spoke with, who said that it's way too early to tell, says that's because it's a complex market and so many variables could shift by then. But it's safe to say it won't help. We're live in Portsmouth. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Officials keep eye on ice jam in Franconia. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
This time-lapse video taken this weekend on the Gale River in Franconia shows the ice jam forming behind Dave Oakman's house.
We had a nice jam from upstream that just came down and slammed into this. And this is what we got.
Local officials say the jam is about 200 yards long and maybe 100 yards wide. They say the water initially rose about 6 feet when it formed, but by Monday morning it had gone down to the point where authorities say it's not posing any immediate threat of flooding.
At this point, there's no cause for concern. It appears that the water has receded down and we have some good channels of water running through the ice. So there's water moving away from the area and it continues to drop.
State officials say this is called a breakup jam, meaning it formed when ice broke apart upstream and flowed to a new collection place.
We still have a fair amount of snow up in that area. There's a fair amount of water content in the snow, so we want the melt to be gradual.
Local officials say the good news is the water is flowing underneath the ice, posing few problems at this point. Oakman says he's only worried about damage to his well.
It's the most incredible thing in the world to actually see it happen. I live for it, but it's a necessary, Mother Nature. You get to see what she can really do.
Local officials say that it looks like the weather is going to cooperate and this jam won't cause any serious damage. In Franconia, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Crews work to clean hotel site of violent standoff before guest can return. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Gene and Tom, there is a hazmat team on site today cleaning up from that deadly 14-hour standoff last week. The windows are boarded up and crews are filling up a dumpster. Authorities gave control of the scene back to the Quality Inn on Saturday night. Guests who were staying here Wednesday night during the shooting had to be evacuated, leaving their cars behind and personal items in their rooms. Since then, they've been able to pick up their vehicles, but the rooms remain off limits. In a Facebook post, the hotel says the hazmat team needs to make sure that the air is safe for guests to re-enter the building. We just spoke to one of those guests. She doesn't blame the hotel for what happened, but she is disappointed with a lack of answers.
Just sort of their management of the communication feels really lacking to some of us, and that's the part that's been super frustrating. So hopefully they can step up their game and be in touch a little more frequently and just give us a better idea of what's happening.
I spoke to someone here on scene who said that we need to contact the hotel's corporate office for answers. We have left them several messages, but have not heard back. Reporting live in Manchester, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And switching gears now, we're going to talk about the weather. Weather right now is clear, 36 degrees. And your weather for tonight, clear skies and chilly, lows in the lower 20s. For tomorrow, sun to high clouds, milder, high near 50. And for tomorrow night, overcast with a shower possible overnight, low near 30. And switching gears now, let's go to sports. And let's watch this video of sports with Riley King.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to Sports
with Riley King. Let's begin. First up, that's not funny, Tom Brady. Brady's first tweet is retirement joke. The New England Patriots quarterback, Tom Brady, has a new Twitter account, but his first message on the platform is not going to make fans happy. Until they remember that Monday is April Fool's Day, at least. A verified account for the six-time Super Bowl champion was established in March. The first message sent from the 41-year-old's account was published at 12:19 p.m. It said, "I'm retiring. In my spare time, I'll be tweeting #LFG. A little more than an hour after receiving nearly 3,000 comments, Brady acknowledged his attempt at humor. "Was this a bad joke?" he said. April Fools to everyone. Source: Red Sox Alexander Bogaerts agree at $132 million through 2025. A person familiar with the negotiation tells the Associated Press that shortstopper Alexander Bogaerts and the Boston Red Sox have agreed to a deal that grants him $132 million through 2025. And introducing the 2019 Fisher Cat players. Let's take a look at the roster right now. Take a look. And here is the roster of the players. And opening day for the Fisher Cats is Thursday night. This coming Thursday night. Very exciting. And these are all of your players for 2019. Boston Celtics, they play tonight at 7:30 p.m. Miami Heat at Boston Celtics. And you can watch it on NBSB and NBA TV and FSS. And also the Boston Red Sox, they play tonight at 10:07 p.m. Boston Red Sox at Oakland Athletics. You can watch it on NESN and NSCA. And that is it for this edition of Sports with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of Sports with Riley King. Have a great Monday night, everyone. See you back here tomorrow night for another edition of Sports with Riley King. Good night, everyone. Bye. Okay, and there you go on that edition of Sports with Riley King. Hopefully you enjoyed watching that. And switching gears now, let's go to your arts and entertainment. In arts and entertainment, upcoming event tonight, UNH Traditional Jazz Series Ron Carter Trio at the Johnson Theater Paul Creative Arts Center at 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. Merrimack Rib Fest will return with a new brand and new version. Let's take a look at that article from union leader. Take a look. And there you go. And if you did not watch American Idol last night, then do not listen to this next report. Spoiler alert. Claremont singer reaches top 20 in American Idol. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Do you need a new roof but think you can't afford it? Our average customer pays $7,500 for a total roof replacement, and we have finance plans with payment options under $150 per month. Call today. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
For Claremont's Evelyn Cormier, music has been a part of her life since she was a little girl.
I actually started playing guitar like 4 or 5 years ago.
Since then, she's been singing, writing, and performing music with her family.
By the time I was 15, I was being hired out pretty regularly around the area at restaurants, playing like full gigs.
And now she's taken her music to a national stage by auditioning for American Idol and has made it to the top 20.
I'm excited. I think this is going to give me a more broad audience. Looking forward to my new music that I'm releasing, kind of give me that next step.
Cormier says it's been stressful competing in the show, but it's been worth it.
It's not super cutthroat as like some people might assume. I guess in this type of position where only one person can win, you're competing against each other.
And despite that competition, she's made relationships she hopes will last.
I've even started kind of collaborating and writing music with some of the other contestants.
Cormier says no matter what happens, she will always be grateful for the opportunities she's been given.
This is what I've always wanted to do, is like, I'm a musician, I'm an artist. And this is giving me a leg up. I've never looked at American Idol as I need to win or I'm done with music. This is just this is a door I'm walking through, and whatever happens, happens.
We'll find out tonight if Cormier continues her American Idol journey. Tune in at 8 p.m. right here on WMUR. In Claremont, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and that does it for this edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. See you back here tomorrow night for another edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. Good night, everyone. Bye.